Notice here how the corals are bright and prosperous. There is a lot of diversity within the marine life, as coral reefs provide habitat, spawning grounds, and nurseries to multiple fish species and are vast areas of biological diversity. Now notice in this coral it has lost all of its color, which indicates that it has been bleached. This has caused the marine species to die from lack of food sources and protection from predators, or alternatively, they are forced to move to other corals to find these resources. This diagram shows what healthy and unhealthy corals look like. See here how coral and algae have a symbiotic relationship, which means they depend on each other to survive. Once the algae becomes stressed by environmental factors, it leaves the coral's tissue. Without the algae, the coral loses its main food source, turns white, and becomes more susceptible to disease.
Can you introduce yourself, Mr. Turtle?
Whoa, Mr. Turtle's my father. Name's Crush.
Okay, Crush. Since your hit Finding Nemo, how has your habitat been affected by recent rising water temperatures?
Dude, it's honestly been so hard to raise Squirt in these conditions. I'm trying to show Squirt and his homie Sydney, but my ride doesn't even go there anymore.
What do you mean the East Australian current doesn't go to Sydney anymore?
Well, Squirt's teacher told me that the current's moving south towards Tasmania, and who wants to go there? My friend Nemo probably has more on this topic, since his life is actually more directly affected by the coral bleaching.
Thanks, Dude Crush. We learnt a lot about the effects of rising water temperatures on the reefs and the ocean environment.
Righteous!
Nemo, star of the show. So what has Mr. Ray taught you about coral bleaching in your school?
A lot of my friends have been getting sick, and Mr. Ray taught us that an increase in carbon dioxide in water leads to a decrease in metabolism and immune system. Also, my shellfish friend can make their shells because there aren't enough resources to make calcium carbonate.
Wow, you're really learning a lot. How has coral bleaching affected clownfish and other fishes in your home?
Well, there's less algae for me to eat. Also, I'm a colorful guy. I use bright coral in my home to see an enemy around me to camouflage from scary predator. Since the coral bleaching, I'm losing my home.
Thanks, Nemo. That was great.
Hi, Dr. P. Sherman. Can you tell us about any changes you see from your dives in the Great Barrier Reef?
G'day mate, I've been seeing a lot less of my favourite creatures like the weedy sea dragons and blue gropers, both of which are major attractions to the tourists that come to see the reef. Also, there has been a decrease in domestic tourists coming to see the reef, which is an industry that brings in $10 billion a year, but eventually there'll be no reef for the tourists to come see.
Do you have any suggestions for how we can help save the coral reefs?
There have been a few projects that scientists have been working on to cultivate growth in coral reef colonies to reinstate into dying coral reefs. As a diver, I volunteer with some organisations like Coral Reef Foundation and Regenerate, which use larval reseeding to replant corals. I like to bring Darla with me to volunteer to educate her about these issues and what she and her generation can do to help save the reef. This is one of the most important steps we can take.